Now, Lars, introduce yourself. It's your show,
Okay.
Lars.
All right. Well, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this year's Finance Night, hosted by the Financial Management Association and the College of Business Career Team. My name is Lars Olson. I'm a senior finance major here at URI, and I'm the president of FMA. Thank you all for joining us tonight, as we have a very distinguished panel made up of professionals from all different aspects of the financial industry. We're excited to hear about their experiences in their careers and their expertise in their fields. But before we get started, I want to introduce the FMA Executive Board for this year, starting with Isabel.
Hi, everyone. Great to see everybody, even if it's virtually. We're so happy we could still pull off these events. As Lars said, my name is Isabel Yuri. I'm a triple major Finance, Spanish, International Studies, also a senior, and I have the pleasure currently of being on campus because I'm an RA. I'm going to hand it off to the rest of our team to introduce themselves.
Thanks, Isabel. How you doing, guys? My name's Ethan. I'm the treasurer of FMA. I'm interested in capital markets. It's something that I've really found my passion in. And when I'm not doing that, you can find me reading, watching sports, or working at the tavern.
Thank you, Ethan. I hope everyone's day is going well. My name is Sewath Longsadasai, a senior finance. I'm the venture for FMA, and my interest is reading books, reading stocks, and just researching. Long-term goal, I want to be a financial planner. Short-term goal, I'm pursuing a CFA.
Thank you, Sayawak. My name is Megan. I'm a junior finance major. I'm planning to take the CFA and CPA exams, and I'm going to pass it back off to Lars.
Thank you, Megan. One last thing I want to mention before we get started is that if you have not already done so, I want to encourage you to sign up for the FMA email list. This is the best way to hear about all upcoming FMA events and general College of Business news. If you are unfamiliar with what FMA is, we are a College of Business organization geared towards finance students and those looking to get a job in the finance industry after graduation. We host monthly meetings where we bring in finance professionals from all corners of the finance industry, similar to the meeting that we're about to start, but typically on a smaller scale. This provides a great learning opportunity for students that they don't typically get inside the classroom, and also provides a great networking opportunity for our members. So please consider signing up. You can sign up on our website. If you type in FMA or Financial Management Association at URI on Google, you'll find our Wix website where you can sign up there for the email list. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Professor Ice. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lars. Thanks, guys. Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much to our speakers that have taken their time to join us. I won't take much time. These events are really good for our students. Again, most of the crowd are finance majors, but for them to have the opportunity to speak with people that are in the industry, speak with people that are experienced, and even more, the broad breadth of what your guys' professions are. Our curriculum is CFA based, so we're a little bit more sales and trading oriented. But the typical student, I don't think, knows yet all the different disciplines that exist in the finance arena. And we certainly have a pretty broad breadth here tonight. And that's what we try to do here with FMA is, every student's not going to be an equity analyst in a hedge fund. Many want to be, and that's fine. But there's so many different ways people make a living in finance. And so many of you got there different ways, different routes. And that's good for the students to hear. It's also good for them to get a chance to speak with you. Better if they can shake hands. Next best thing is Zoom. But if they can make a contact with you, reach out to you, that's tremendous for our students. Our students work very, very, very hard, and this is the hardest working of the group. So they're more than likely the most engaging of the groups. So I would say enjoy tonight, have some fun with the students, and they'll benefit greatly. So with that said, we might as well get started. I think Matt is here. So Matt Hayes is a principal at Point Judith Capital. He's the veteran of the RAM Fund, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, Matt. So I'll pass it off to you and let you talk.
Great. Yeah. So I'm on the investment team at PJC. We're an early stage venture firm in Boston, and so we invest in early stage startups. We're writing anywhere from $500,000 to $1.5 million checks really early into what we deem as like pre-seed and seed companies. So companies that, don't quite have traction yet with customers, through kind of like early traction with customers and giving them capital to grow and kind of find their find their customer and their product and their market. And so we invest really early, and then as companies get larger, we'll increase our check sizes. We usually have anywhere from $4 to $6 million in a company throughout its life through like the Series B or C round, which are where they're raising anywhere from like, I would say $25 to $75 million. And so that's kind of like what we do. We're a $100 million fund. We just raised our 5th fund. And so we have some really great limited partners. And so we invest in kind of like the venture asset class, which are most notably like startup technologies, technology startup companies. And so prior to that, I actually built a startup called Teespring. It was an early stage consumer platform. We went through a startup accelerator on the West Coast called Y Combinator. And so it was a really fun run. We ended up raising like $65 million from Andreessen Horowitz and Coastal Ventures. And so I actually lived in San Francisco for several years. And so it was a really nice way to, learn a lot really early on in my career on the entrepreneurial side, and then leverage that to get into venture capital. And so I've been doing that for 6 years. And prior to that, I was at a startup for almost 4. And so that's kind of like me in a nutshell. And happy to answer any questions as the night rolls on here.
All right, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Melissa DiMartino is a senior financial analyst at National Grid. She's also a veteran of the RAM Fund. So, Melissa, welcome.
That's right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much for the invitation. Hi, everyone. Melissa DiMartino. I am a finance business partner for National Grid. So, National Grid is a large utility company, international. We're actually a UK-based company first and foremost, but we do have service territory all over the New England area. I'm a finance business partner, so I guess the simplest way I can kind of explain this for you guys is there's many different parts of finance, and especially in a corporation of my size, there's about 25,000 employees here. So what I help do as a business partner is I kind of am the translator between corporate finance and the engineers who are actually making money for us on the scene. I translate what needs to be done from both ends of the business for them. So support their budgets, their portfolios, forecasts, things like that. It's right now we've spent $2.1 billion in capital so far this year. We're about halfway through our fiscal year, projected to spend about $5 billion. So me and a team of 7 help liaison that as finance business partners.
Okay, Melissa, thank you very much. We'll move on to David Schwartzman. David is a vice president of fixed income corporate credit at, I'm going to mispronounce this, David, Sykes Advisor? Sykes Advisor.
Yeah, our founder was Christina Sykes, and she put her name on the door. And we're now part of Virtus Investment Partners, which is a little over $100 billion, 109. Out of Hartford. And after I graduated from Ballantine, and I got into commercial banking and felt like I had a whole lifetime there. And in 2000, I got into fixed income. I almost feel like I shouldn't tell you guys about it because it's such a cool area that I don't want to give it all away. But basically, it's in the banking world, there's the buy side, which is where I am, and the sell side, and the investment bankers are on the sell side, and the traders are on the sell side for the most part. And so, that part of the world is you can make a lot of money. It's very high pressure, and you tend to have 5-ish year, 10-year runs if you're doing really well for yourself, 3 years. On the buy side, it's more stable, and you tend to tuck yourself into an asset class. So the asset class I'm tucked into is investment grade, corporate bonds. It could be asset backs and mortgages, or could be governments and things like that. But I do investment grade corporates, and that's pretty much what I've been doing. So,
all right, David, it's good you explain that, because one of the first questions when a student comes and sits and wants to talk about their career, one of the first things I'll ask them is, do you want to be principal or do you want to be agent? Which is to say, are you going to be the one investing in the assets, or are you going to be assisting somebody else investing in the assets? And then once they kind of told me which direction there they want to go, my next question is, and who do you want your customers to be? Do you want them to be individuals? Do you want them to be institutions or sovereigns? And that sort of breaks the world up from them a bit so they can begin to think about the direction. So the answer is, you're an agent, and your customers would be institutions.
Institutional.
And I think when we go through the night, for the students, think about each of these individuals, what part of that they're in. Clearly, Matt, you're principal. So that it'll help put in perspective the many different disciplines that we have in finance. And I was a fixed income guy too, David. So the smart guys are all in fixed income is the way I always used to put it. Okay. Jameson Miller is the Vice President, Portfolio Manager at Washington Trust.
I agree that all the smart people are in fixed income because I'm on the equity side, first and foremost. So I'm Jameson Miller. I class of 08 from URI, so go Rhody. If you hear a little puppy crying in the background, I apologize. I have a 9-month-old Boston Terrier, and he's not being calm right now. So, but nonetheless, I graduated from URI in 08. So if there's questions about joining the finance world mid-recession, I can answer a lot of questions about that. I started my career at Smith Barney. I've worked for Merrill Lynch. I've worked for Morgan Stanley. So any questions about the major wirehouses, I'm happy to cover those. I'm a chartered financial analyst, and what I primarily do is construct individual portfolios for clients, primarily individual equity portfolios, but they are ultimately asset allocation portfolios that have some combination of equity and fixed income. But I sit on the sub-equity committee at Washington Trust as a portfolio manager and vice president, so I'm one of the voting members who decides which stock go into our portfolio.
James, since we have you and since it's one of our FMA initiatives, can you give us 30 seconds on JA?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm also a board member for Junior Achievement of Rhode Island. It's a not-for-profit that teaches financial literacy, workplace readiness, and one other pillar, which is eluding me because I didn't know we were doing this. But we are primarily inner city school, K through 12, going in, teaching about the basics of business, the basics of financial literacy, and we are always looking for volunteers. So if you're looking to find a way where your career path and your academic designations align with your philanthropic endeavors, Junior Achievement's a great place to take your financial knowledge and give it to kids who might not have the greatest mentors in the world.
Yes, we've done about 4 or 5 semesters now in a row. Many of the students on have done it and absolutely come out of it thrilled.
Wonderful. It's a great organization.
Yeah. Nico Pasanti. Nico is the Executive Vice President at PensionMark Meridian. Nico?
Yeah, nice to meet everybody this evening. My name is Nico Pasanti, also a graduate, 1998. Jameson, I'm not going to be too disgruntled that I got 10 years on you. And the kids graduating now were born when I was graduating, so that really hurts. But I am an Executive Vice President and partner with a company called PensionMark Meridian. My real focus every day is I run a non-qualified deferred compensation team that has a national practice. We work with small, successful businesses up to the Fortune 50, implementing what used to be known a lot of the time as golden handcuffs and golden parachutes. The current vernacular is more often non-qualified plans. So working with the executive and key employee teams of these different types of companies and finding ways to attract, retain, and reward them to stay with that employer for a very long time is usually our goal. But how that intersects with finance, quite simply, we're putting in specialty retirement programs and funding those programs with institutionally priced corporate-owned life insurance, and or if it's a banking institution, bank-owned life insurance. So really every day what I'm doing involves investment advisory, pretty deep financial analysis, accounting, strategy, and first and foremost, salesmanship. I'm also a small business owner, being a partner in our company in Providence. So a little bit more about what we do. using those insurance products. We create kind of tax efficient vehicles for companies to help them with their balance sheet as they're funding for assets and liabilities to pay out those benefits. So what you know about insurance, you can kind of throw away if you've taken insurance at URI. A lot of what we do is really working with institutional grade insurance contracts that also involve working with folks like Jameson and some of the other investment professionals on the dais here today, and putting in really specialized investment programs within an insurance chassis for those folks to help them fund their benefits. We also, and I have a colleague on the panel today, have a different division in the investment world. I won't steal his thunder, but I'll let him talk a little bit more about that.
All right, thank you, Miko. Lisa Croteau, I'm going to pronounce, I apologize, Lisa. Lisa is the Director of
Strategy. You got it right.
Lisa is the Director of Strategy and Planning at Fidelity Investments.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here tonight. I think I'm probably the only person who, although I work in financial services, I'm not actually doing finance as my job today. So hopefully I can give you some ideas about different things you can try. I graduated in 2000, so I got about 20 years under my belt, and 12 of those were in actually corporate finance. So definitely had the chance to rotate through a lot of things like FP&A, did some of the business partnership that you heard about earlier. And through trying different things and being open-minded, I found I really loved data. So that was something I was able to use to kind of make a career shift. You always hear about a ladder, but we also talk about a lattice, so you can kind of use skills and then build on them and move into other areas. So I was able to do that and actually worked in a global piece of Fidelity's organization. And really we're running a business where we're outsourcing, offshoring, and really just coming up with a really interesting portfolio that helped our company run our multi-billion-dollar technology portfolio. And then from that, I actually had some skills that put me into the role I'm in now, which is strategy and planning for our chief technology officer for the whole company. And what we do is really look out over many years. So I do a lot of the mindset that I had in finance, looking out. We still apply those skills, but it's also the storytelling piece. So we want to see where the company needs to be, what our executives are looking to get, and then hopefully we can make that really individualized for each person that works at the company. And we do the storytelling measurements. And I always say the calculator never left my desk, which maybe people can't say that now when you're in school, you don't have it, but I've always had that with me. So it's just a little different spin on, I think, what other people are telling you today. But I just, I think my message today is to follow what you really love doing, because I think it'll take you places that maybe you don't think of. And when you love it, you can even make your own job. So I'm excited for all of you. It's a great time in your life, and you have great inspiration here today. So thanks for letting me join this.
Well, thank you, Lisa. And Fidelity has been a tremendous partner for the College of Business, for finance, and particularly the RAM Fund. Probably one of the most negative sides of COVID is we don't get to do our every semester. We take our RAM Fund analysts and we go to Fidelity and make a presentation in front of 60 of their analysts. That's a big miss during COVID, because their analysts aren't in the building. Yeah. We may look to do that virtually, but Fidelity has been a great partner to URI. We have many URI alumni at Fidelity, which is a good thing too. So thank you, Lisa. Michael Holden is an investment banking associate at Citi. Michael?
Hey, yeah. So I'm Mike Holden. I'm an investment banking associate at Citi now, but graduated from URI in 2011. My first job was actually managing foreign exchange at IBM. Started as a financial analyst, worked my way up to managing around $30 billion worth of hedge programs. Wanted to transition to investment banking, so I actually got my MBA at NYU and joined Citi, where I joined the TMT team, and I'm primarily focused on media. So that's a coverage group versus kind of a product group, which would be something like joining M&A or leverage finance or something to that effect. So I kind of work across M&A, equity, and debt. So it's interesting but challenging. I think all the things you guys probably have heard about investment banking is true. I've been sleeping 2 or 3 hours over the past couple of nights. I had a CFO meeting today with the CFO of a travel company. We're in the process of an IPO for a digital media company scheduled to launch early, in Q1. We're helping the board of directors with the dating app company for an upcoming board meeting they have the first week of December, and then 2 other traditional kind of media companies that we're just doing strategic reviews with. Scheduled to be VP next month. Some of the interesting stuff I've worked on during my time at Citi includes the spinoff of Fox as part of the Disney transaction, Match's recent spinoff from IAC, Blackstone's acquisition of Bumble, the dating app, if you guys are familiar with that. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, class of 2011, I visited with my wife who I met at URI like 2 weeks ago, and I felt like a tourist. Like my Instagram story was like me reading the 5-cent cigar and stuff like that because I hadn't been back in such a long time. But happy to answer any questions or whatever.
All right. Well, thank you. And glad to have you back anytime. Stop in and say hello next time, please. Andrew Feldman. Andrew Feldman is the managing director at H. Croft Partners, speaking to us live from Israel. Andrew.
Thank you, Professor Ice, for inviting me to participate, and Jessica for arranging all logistics. While I live and work in New York, as Michael said, I'm in Tel Aviv. It is almost 1 o'clock in the morning here. And I guess there are two main reasons I agreed to do this this late at night. The first is that I was lucky enough to have a number of experienced professionals guide me through the early years of my career. And I've made it my business to pay it forward whenever I can. So I appreciated this invite. The second reason is that Michael Ice and I started work together at Bankers Trust on the same day, November 1st of 1988. So Miko, I don't want to hear about your perspective. I don't think you were born when I graduated. So if you've never heard of Bankers Trust, anyhow, that means Michael and I have been good friends now for 32 years. If you've never heard of Bankers Trust, it's because they were bought by Deutsche Bank in the late 90s, right around the time most of the students here were born. But relationships matter. Michael is a dear friend of mine, and I would do anything he asked of me at any time. I'm just glad that this thing started at 5:30 and not 7:30. So, Michael asked me to spend a minute or two, and so I'm going to take just a moment longer than the other speakers thus far, because I have been in client-facing roles my entire career, and a lot of the people on the panel tonight, some are, but many are in more investment or banking roles. The products in which I focused and the client sets have changed over the years, but the products have generally been on the more complex end of the scale. So I focused on mortgage securities in the late 80s and early 90s, and then the derivatives markets, rates, equity, and credit from the early 90s through the end of 2003. And then I left the client side of Wall Street, and I've been marketing hedge funds to a full range of investor types since. Those include high net worth individuals, family offices, wealth management firms, private banks, fund of funds, insurance companies, consultants, endowments, and pensions. If there are any nuggets of value.
Oops. Andy, we lost you.
I can share. How'd you lose me?
I don't know. You're back
Am
now.
I back?
You're back now.
Okay. Where was I?
2003.
Wow, that's not bad. Okay, I can get back to 2003. 2003, I left the sell side of Wall Street, and I've been marketing hedge funds to a full range of investor types since. They range from high net worth individuals, family offices, wealth management firms, private banks, fund of funds, insurance companies, consultants, endowments, pensions, really the whole range. If there are any nuggets of value I can share with you as you approach the starting line of your careers in finance, here they are. Rule number 1, do the right things and the right things will happen. If you're wondering how to interpret this, whatever came to mind, the answer is yes. Yes, I'm talking about your integrity. Yes, I'm talking about being a reliable employee, colleague, and manager. Yes, I'm talking about hard work and not cutting corners. If you're going to be in a client business, whether or not you have direct client responsibility, here's rule number 2. It's not about you, it's about them. In a context you probably appreciate at this point, and I hope you already know this, your resume is not about you. It's about what's good about you that's good for them. So having a great offering does not by itself close deals. There is no field of dreams in the investment business. If you build it, they won't come. Right? The structure of your business has to suit. You still with me?
We're with you.
Michael?
No, we're with you.
The structure of business, thank you. The structure of business has to suit client needs and interests. Your communication with clients needs to emphasize those things that are good about it for them. If you sit between the product and the client, you should consider it your responsibility to make sure they understand what they're buying and what they're not buying. It may seem less relevant if you're selling generic products like listed equities or government bonds, but it's not. All investments have some measure of risk, and you want to make it your business to be sure the client understands not just what's good about it, but what can go wrong. The worst call I imagine I could ever get is an investor complaining that a fund I've introduced them to has performed in a way they didn't know could happen. A little bit of career advice: if you're in a client-facing role, make sure you believe in what you're selling. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing ever, but you should believe that there is some subset of prospective investors for whom whatever you're offering will leave them better off than they were before they started with you. I currently work for Agecroft Partners. We're a third-party marketing firm, which means we're an outsourced marketing and sales arm for a handful of hedge fund managers. They can be a range of strategies. The current ones include a reinsurance fund, a CTA, which is quantitatively driven strategies, a structured credit fund, and a long-short equity fund. Thanks again for having me. I look forward to speaking with any of you in the breakout room who are interested in learning more. Thanks, Michael.
Andrew, thanks so much. John Finn. John Finn is the principal financial consultant for Finn and Meehan Wealth Management. Mr. Finn.
Thank you, Mike, and thanks to Jessica for including me on this. This is, I'm looking forward to sharing what I do, but also I've already learned a bunch about the breadth of what finance is. So my firm, Finn and Meehan Wealth Management, is an independent retirement and financial planning firm. We are independent, which means we're not owned by a bank or an insurance company. I own the company myself, so we're completely independent. We believe we can provide unbiased and independent advice. Our target market is mass affluent individuals. So we don't work with institutions, we work with the end customer, individuals, husbands and wives. I also have a niche where I work with women in transition, and those could be women who have lost their husband or maybe going through a divorce who have some special needs. Mass affluent, for those of you who aren't familiar with these sorts of qualifications, would be individuals that have about $1 million of investable assets and earn about $125,000 a year. So that's a lot different from a high net worth person that Andy might be talking to, who's probably got at least $5 million or more in net worth. We believe that this is an underserved population. These are really, really bright people, but they're not, honestly, they're not very sophisticated investment people. The example I use often is, somebody who's worked at Raytheon for their whole life and has $1 million or $2 million in their 401k, and they need to know what to do with it. And they're nervous because they've never made such a big decision in their life. So we can guide them through a process that at the end of the day gives them some peace of mind and can help them make the right decisions. The decisions that they make all seemingly, and I figured this out about 5 or 10 years ago, we basically help people answer 2 questions. That is, do we have enough and will it last? The people that we work with are more concerned about running out of money than they are about increasing their wealth. So this is a very, very key role where we are the relationship that is between them and making a big mistake and completely running out of money. Investment strategies is one of the elements, and it's an important element. We honestly outsource the majority of that, whether it's to mutual funds, separately managed accounts. I've just been of the view that if I'm meeting with the clients all day, then somebody else has to be driving the ship and making the day-to-day investment decisions. I just don't feel that I would be providing the best experience if I were to try to do both. So I focus on just the client end of the relationship and helping people make those decisions. The other decisions that will help them make, or the other elements, are what's a proper withdrawal strategy, how do taxes come into play, what their other sources of income might be, whether that is pension income or Social Security, how does inflation impact them, longevity, their life expectancy, and probably the biggest risk that people share with me is healthcare. How do they deal with healthcare as they age, and how can they afford to do that? So all in a nutshell, what we're trying to do is make this as easy as possible. And if we can connect with people and have a personal connection, let them know that we are really trying to help them, and they would then trust us. Once they trust us, they open up and share with us what their real objectives are. And we can put together a process that makes what they thought was really, really complicated and intimidating into something that they can feel comfortable about moving forward. And then from there, it's just a matter of continuing the communication and making sure that we make adjustments as we go along. And we just do that over and over again. So basically, our process puts together a strategy with the goal of supplementing their existing incomes, keeping pace with inflation and a manageable amount of risk, and control what we can control. There are things that are out of our control. And if they wind up having money at the end, what should they do with it? Should they give it to charity, or should they give it to their kids, and so on and so forth? So that is basically what we do. It's really a relationship-focused business that leverages finance to help people live the life they want to live. That's it.
Excellent, John. Thank you very, very much. You didn't bring out the 1985 graduation year.
Yeah, I skipped over that. So it was, it should have been 1984, but my junior years were the best 2 years, two of the best years of my life. I didn't make it in 84. It's 1985.
Congratulations.
You're very well. Thank you very much, and I'm so happy to be able to give something back. Like Andy said, just pay it forward. I'm so excited for the people that are in FMA right now, and what opportunities they have. And it's a great world out there. Go out and get a piece of it.
All right, thank you, Mark. And Mark, I'm going to pronounce this one wrong. Jurajuri. Also, he's a director at PensionMark Meridian. Mark.
Michael, thank you so much. Actually, that was the closest I've had in months. So, Mark Gregory, the official pronunciation. And again, thank you everyone for having us here tonight. And I work with Miko Passanante at PensionMark Meridian, and my official title is the Director of Qualified Plans. So think 401k, 403bs. You hear those phrases. You know, it's just all IRS talk for, a company-sponsored retirement plan. So I'm ultimately responsible for the overall relationship with the decision makers at these companies. I think C-suites, director of HR, all of that, from everything from pre-sales, sales, to the overall relationship itself, where we work with these folks to help design the retirement plan, monitor, choose investments. More importantly, we provide that fiduciary governance for the benefits for the plans. And we also educate the participants. So, John, you struck a chord. I had those conversations all the time with folks individually. And that's what it's really all about in the world. We have that client-facing opportunity to really help somebody make a confident decision with really their biggest asset, if you will, as they move forward. But so again, really, that's where I come into play, is on the retirement side of the house with that retirement plan. I also, with the firm too, is we have a wealth management division where we work with individuals in foundations with pre-built portfolios, individual securities, both Miko and myself on that front. We're helping folks that were a participant in a 401k plan or whatever the case is, and they decided to stay on with us. So it's a small part of our office that's really has over the last few years. But more importantly, what I take a lot of pride into, I'm responsible for the internship program that we have. And if I can give a shout out, it's great to see Say Wath, one of our best that we've ever had. So a couple of summers back. So again, I'm in charge of the training of the interns as we come through. And it's been unique over the last 6 months and going into the summer, but we're hoping to have that robust program up and running again. So look forward to going into more detail in the breakouts.
Excellent, Mark. Thank you. And I can see Mr. Plunkett is here. Shane Plunkett, 2016 URI. Shane would have been a Ram Fund alumni if our basketball team didn't decide that 10:30 in the morning was a good time to practice. But Shane is a senior regional investment consultant at Fidelity.
Yes, certainly probably would have been better time well spent than at practice. So, but no, thank you all for having me on here. It's really exciting to see all these different faces, some familiar faces. I think I went to school with Melissa. I think we had a few classes together. And then Andy, I got a chance to meet at Professor Ice's birthday party before COVID happened. So it's great to see everybody. But yeah, just a quick background on me. So I'm in a sales client-facing role, similar to kind of like what Andy was talking about, but more on like the mutual fund side. So if you go back to what they were saying before, the fixed income guys are the smartest, and the equity guys are called the second smartest. And then like way down here, you have like sales guys who just talk about the funds that everybody else makes. So that's kind of the role that I'm in at Fidelity. And you know, it's interesting because like in college, and Professor Ice will tell you, like, you know, I was always capable of like doing the work. That there wasn't like an issue, but you know, where my strengths were probably wasn't, you know, crunching numbers and picking investments. But I always like to talk to people. I always had fun chatting with Professor Ice in his office. And lo and behold, like no one ever tells you when you're in college that there's all these other roles out there in finance that you can do besides being a hedge fund manager. And, you know, I found out that there's all these sales roles out there. I was pretty excited. I ended up meeting an alumni who was on our sales desk from URI, and he kind of introduced me to the world of wholesaling. So basically what we do in a nutshell is, you know, we talk to people like John Finn, and, you know, we try to raise assets into our mutual funds, ETFs, model portfolios. And, you know, we try to do what's best by both John and also his clients. And, you know, we try to get them to use our products over somebody, say like Vanguard, American funds, those types of people. I've been doing it for about 3.5 years now. Started out in like a training program, which took about a year. Basically what happens is you get your own territory. So I cover the metropolitan Atlanta area. And then all the financial advisors in that area are, you know, technically, according to Fidelity, my client. And I'm either calling them or meeting with them in person when we used to be able to do that before COVID. And yeah, just having conversations about growing their business and partnering up on the fund side of things. But yeah, happy to go over it in more detail in the breakouts.
Excellent. I think we've covered everybody. I think you can see for you students, there's a broad range of professionals here. Maybe some professionals that do things that you weren't aware of. Jessica, would you like to take over now and explain how the next process works?
I will. Thanks, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. Just make sure. I have so many screens going to balance this all out. So just want to tell the students, stay put, don't go anywhere. This next part's not scary, so I don't want to scare anyone away. I want to say thank you to all the alums and corporate partners that have come back and met with us and joined us for today. And just wanted to kind of let you know that we have other events. We do mock interview events. We do career day. So if you want to come back again, definitely connect with me. We'll have you do other things. There's so many things you can do. We'd love to have you to come to campus when things are in person, but right now they're all virtual. So all of spring will be virtual events. So reach out to me if there's something that you'd like to do. For the students, I just wanted to put a little pitch in as well. We have a couple of new J-term classes for the career team, and there's one on career planning, and then there's another on networking. So those are two really neat, cool classes that are different that you can do during J-term. So reach out to me, Kathleen Jackson, or Lynn Finnegan if you're interested in one of those. And also, we're going to be doing a shadowing program. This is also for the mentors as well. If you're interested in hosting a student or a few for J-term, we're allowing them to kind of visit your company for 1 day is what it normally is, but this is going to be virtually for 2 hours. So they would kind of come talk to you, maybe a couple people within the business, but it's basically to give them an idea of what a day in the life is virtually in your company. So students, that will be coming out as well. Now back onto what we're actually doing. So I've already set everyone up in a room. So each of the people that have spoken so far, the mentors, will be in a room with about 5 students. So that's why I ask you not to leave, because you'll be in a room with them and they'll have no one there if you leave. The discussion is open. You can talk about anything you'd like to. You can have questions for the mentor. You can practice networking, learn more about their area of expertise, practice your elevator pitch, whatever you guys want to do. It's really open to you. So we're going to attempt to do this twice. So right now it is 6:13. So I'll give you to about 6:30. When you're in your room, it will actually come up and say 30 seconds left. It's going to be quick. I can't stop it. So once it happens, you're going to be thrown out of that room and bounce in another room with 5 more students. So we'll end this promptly at about what did we say? It'll be about 6:45. It'll end after that. So does everyone seem good with that? All right, so I'm gonna put—
Again, yes, thank you so much. Have
Yes.
some fun with this, guys. Have some fun.
Yeah, and there'll be no need to come back to the main room. After your last set of students, you can end it anytime you want. I will eventually turn it off because I want to go to bed tonight. So I'm going to check my computer. So that will end your session there. So, all right, so I'm going to throw everybody in a room except for some of the participants that are faculty. They're there and that they're not being put in the room. All right, thanks everyone.
All right, guys, thank you so much for helping us
Thanks,
out.
Jessica.
Have some fun.
Thanks, Mike.
All righty, John.
So you've all been asked to go in a room. You just have to join the room.
Thanks, guys.
Jessica, am I missing the join room button?
Yeah, let me look.
I got knocked out and then had to
Oh, is that what it
rejoin.
was? Oh, okay, so your whole room
you
got
might have
knocked
an
out.
issue with me. Yeah,
I did.
at one point I did anyway.
I'm gonna, let me see what rooms I put you in. Room 3. Let me see if, yep, okay, I'm gonna add you to room 3 right now, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks for telling me that. I would have not figured that.
Of course.
Jessica, same thing with me as well. I think I got knocked out a few minutes ago.
Okay, let me see if I can find, I don't see you on the unassigned.
It's not,
Is it, you said, Randy, right? Okay, yep.
Randy, yeah.
Yep, let me assign you to breakout room 1. Okay, you should be all set now.
All right, thank you.
So it should just be Kathleen, Michael, and me left. Did you get the invite? He did, okay, and Carmen's left, okay. All right, so then I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna try to do is set up another room now, and in 15 minutes, I'll put them in another room. Hopefully I can do that.
And they'll automatically just swap.
Yeah, the only thing is they could end up in the same room. See, now I didn't set up a second room, so let me see how I can do this. I haven't tried this yet, so it's new. I might have to have them all come back to this room and then send them out again, but it won't take too long to do that. But I can see when the students drop off, like we originally had 6 in every room, now we have 5. Connor, did you not get placed in a room? He must have left and just left his computer on.
Shocker. Connor, are you there? It happens in class. If I finish class 5 or 10 minutes early, I can see who stays.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
Great lineup.
Yeah, it worked out well.
I thought it went pretty well, right?
Yeah, I thought it was
Everybody
amazing.
had their few minutes and a wide range of different people. And if you've got 3 or 4 for every breakout room, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think there's 5 in each one. So
5 in each one, so that's good. And that's small enough, but at least you're not stuck one-on-one or.
yeah, except for the few that people dropped, like in a couple of rooms, people dropped. So I don't know until after they drop. So
I guess this theoretically, if they don't like who they have, they'll drop. And once they drop, they can't come back and get in the next round, right?
I don't know, and I think they can definitely drop out of the room and come back to the main room. That's an option. What I don't see on here is that I can't set up another room right now, which is I thought I would be able to do.
So how would you do this if we were in person?
If we did in person, we would just network, I think.
Okay, so
We
you
could
wouldn't
set
have
up-
10
Yeah.
different rooms.
Or we could set up like we did for speed networking. We actually had assigned a mentor per table, excuse me. So say we'd have 11 tables, like high tops. And then we would have students, we'd assign them number when they came in, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they would go to table 1, and then we could have them switch like that.
They could just
We wanted to have
float around
specific-
then.
Yeah, but they could have if we wanted to do it this way, very specific, then we could say, okay, we'd assign 5 people to Jameson, 5 people to Shane, like five to each one. And then they would have 2 numbers saying their name tag that would say 1 and 2. So they would be at group 1, and then they'd switch to group 2 after, if we wanted to make them go to a specific person. Because you know how students are, they might love, John Flynn and hate everybody else, and then crowd.
And then they never leave.
And that's usually what happens is they go to one person, they don't go to everybody else. So this forces them to go to one person. So
Yeah, or it just ends up kind of an open cocktail party and people see a few and then they move on. No, that's good. I don't know, the format seemed to work.
yeah, and what we can do is we can ask your executive group from FMA after if did they like it, and they'll be the ones that will know to see if they like this style.
Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't realize is I'm going to have to bring everybody back to put them in another room. I didn't know that. So
Is there a way to tell them that?
I can broadcast a message, but I'll wait till it's closer to when we're going to switch, and then we'll do that.
Okay. Well, there's nothing I can do now, right?
You can leave if you want. I'll just kind of hang out and then switch them back. And if I can't switch them, I'll just say thanks for coming, and that's it. So.
Okay, cool. All right.
Great job, Michael. Nice seeing you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Come by and
Thanks for
say hi
showing up.
sometime. Great job, Jessica. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thanks, Michael. See you later.
Bye-bye. Malin text. Let me respond to Malin's chat, and then I'll leave.
He's probably still in the office with you.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to hop up for a second, but I'll be right back.